When was the last time you took the gospel so seriously that you didn't jaywalk? Have you stopped completely at each stop sign and obeyed the speed limit? Do you lane split? Are you illegally downloading artists' music? Are you buying merchandise for cheaper knowing they were stolen? Are you paying your taxes as you should? Have you ever stumbled over any of these aforementioned laws? If you are unaware, I would suggest reading up on your state and or country laws. Did you know that not following the laws of the land is a shame to a Christian's walk and a sin against God? When I think about the image of Christ, one word comes to mind: perfection. No Jew could call out Jesus and say that he's in error, but equally as important, neither could any Roman. He was blameless in both walks of life, the secular and the pious. Jesus took both seriously, firstly to his Father, the holy law of God, and secondly to the state, the Roman Empire. They are two sides of the same coin. One without the other isn't nearly as strong a witness as a believer that carries both sides of his cross. Remember these three chief examples we have from our Master concerning secular law. In our first example, we can read from either Mark chapter 12, verses 13 to 17, Matthew chapter 22, verses 15 to 22, or Luke chapter 20, verses 20 to 26. Here, the chief priests sent Pharisees and Herodians to get Jesus to co-sign not paying the imperial tax, thus teaching Jews to break the Roman law.
That's a robbery in progress.
Being the snakes that they were, their true intent was elusive. However, we don't serve a God that can be fooled. Jesus immediately is aware of their craftiness, and so replies in a manner they cannot resist.
He's pretty good at that.
Oh, he's the best.
Basically, you please God.
When you pay your taxes.
After feeding the masses through a miracle, the crowd was now emboldened by Jesus' power, and about 5,000 men wanted to take Jesus and start an insurrection, hoping to overthrow the current government. But Jesus knew this was on their hearts and chose to separate himself from them, saving the people from being killed or jailed for their imagined rebellion, which was simply criminal activity. Jesus again reaffirmed submitting to not only God's law, but the law of the government, the law of the Romans. In the third and final example, we will be focusing on Jesus' trials to the state and to the religious authorities. During the trial, Israel accused Jesus of breaking the law of Rome and the law of God. We read here in Luke chapter 23, verses 1 to 2. The whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation, and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ, a king." Looking at Matthew chapter 26, verses 63 to 65, we read, "But Jesus remained silent, and the high priest said to him, I adjure you by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, You have said so, but I tell you, from now on you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power, and coming on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his robes and said, He has uttered blasphemy. What further witnesses do we need? You have now heard his blasphemy." Many accusations were brought against Jesus for breaking the law of God and the law of the land. All attempts failed. Jesus was innocent by all standards. Interestingly enough, who did Israel want freed to them? Barabbas, a man publicly known as a criminal to Rome and the law of God. He was an insurrectionist and a murderer, the exact opposite example of Christ being guilty on both sides of the law. We can also find more evidence of keeping the law of the land in the New Testament from these examples. Romans chapter 13 verses 1 through 7, 1 Peter chapter 2 verses 13 through 17, Titus chapter 3 verses 1, and finally 1 Timothy chapter 2 verses 1 through 2. As this video comes to a close, I will let some of the laws of the land slowly pass the screen, and you should review yourself against them to see how well you're representing our Father and our Messiah. Remember to keep track of your performance, like anyone who is trying to perfect their craft. Keep in mind, we all need work, and the Holy Spirit is willing. The question is, are you?